Guys, what is going on? This is episode 127 of From the Grave podcast. I am Scott. We get into some good stuff this episode. We talk about the power of lying to rob you of your own life force, and how even when we think we're getting away with shit, or we may in the physical realm, in reality, it is eating our fucking lunch. We talk about entering the forest at the darkest point, following the path that hasn't been laid out yet, seeing what's on the other side of that type of fear, and amongst other things. So, very excited. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to get involved with the podcast in any degree, please email us at fromthegravepodcast@gmail.com. Send in a voice memo of a comment, a question that you want answered. We'll play it when we're recording. And you can cringe when you hear your voice played on the podcast, which everyone always does. Also, let's see, check out the blog, which is called Collateral Beauty by Scott Russell. This is on substack.com. And also, I am doing life coaching or spiritual coaching. If you're looking for just a little bit of guidance in your life, or someone to see your ears, shine a flashlight over your shoulders, get a new perspective, take new action, again, send us an email at fromthegravepodcast@gmail.com. And if it works out, I'd be happy to help. Peace. Enjoy the episode.
What's the eternal principle?
But one.
Which is?
Well, we call it God, but that personifies it.
We're live again. A little bit of technical difficulties there. We were going on probably like a 10-minute rip, and our platform quit unexpectedly, as MacBook would, or Apple would say. So we're back. People think that they're going to get away with shit, and they lie. Now, dishonesty, I've learned a lot about dishonesty. Dishonesty is not about simply telling a lie. It can be manipulation of the truth, exaggeration, minimization, practicing hypocrisy, as far as doing the same thing I have contempt with for another person, but practicing those same things. So dishonesty doesn't have to just be some type of lie, although it usually is, or just can be that. Like when people get away with something, they sweep it under the rug, right? But they're ultimately losing. If you are lying and getting away with shit, number one, it's always going to make its way out. And if for some reason it doesn't, it is eating your fucking lunch. You are not getting away with anything. You are robbing yourself of energy. You're taking away from your own life. You're taking away from the lives of others. And you're just hiding shit under the rug. But here's the thing. Now you got a big ass lump in your rug. And then you stack more on top of that. You don't got any foundation. You're living like an asshole. You don't want to bring anyone in that home, because I'm just constantly packing things into the dark corners of my home, right? And so if I'm constantly hiding and lying and packing things away into the dark corners of my home, I'm losing its space, right? Like the square footage of my home is now depleting. So I've lost my control or power or energy over my own home where I live. When visitors come in, I walk around eggshells, making sure that they don't go certain places. All the square footage is falling in on itself. You could be living in a mansion. By the time you're done lying and manipulating in life, you're living in a fucking shack. It may look pretty on the outside, but now you got rooms people can't go in, right? Imagine if somebody played a movie of the last week of your life on a big screen, and your family got to see it, or society, or your friends, or your coworkers, or anything. If they could play a movie, a 5-minute clip of the last week of your life. They could go through your phone, saw how you talk to women or men, or how you acted in your relationships, how you acted with your family, your job. And we got to see every area of that life in the moments where you thought that you were alone. Would you be okay with them watching that movie? And that right there is a very good barometer to show you your level of dishonesty, hypocrisy, of saying one thing, and then when I'm not being seen, I act like a completely different person. If you aren't the same person in every area of your life, you're full of shit. And I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself, man. And listen, number one, everybody's full of shit. It's just to degrees, all right? I'm still full of shit. I'm just not full of shit to the degree where I have to like do heroin anymore, right? But it used to be a very, very potent degree where it dominated my whole existence. Like, so full of shit that I actually believed what I was thinking, but did not know that it was an absolute lie. All right. That's delusion. That only in my experience, it takes nothing but pain and suffering to break through that shit. So at any rate, the more you try to lie, evade, and manipulate, the bigger of a hypocrite you will be. Because when you go to work, you'll put on a cloak and you will start to perform. Now, I understand that, if you're in customer service or whatever, you got to do the pleasantries and put on a smile and all that. But there's a difference between creating a new character, picking a new character for work, like you're in a fucking video game for the day, and you're like, today I'm going to be this guy, I'm going to be fatigue guy, and I'm going to be this fucking dork or whatever, right? If you're picking a new character for every area of your life, you are divided against yourself. You will not prosper. And inevitably, in my experience, life will slip through your fingers. Be the same man. Be the same woman. Be the same person at work, in the relationship, in fun, in friendship, out to dinner, new clients, in your recovery, in your love life. Be the same person. Don't bend and shift or change for anyone or anything, because then if you do, you're contributing falsehood to the moment. Let's say, for instance, you're supposed to be in a different discipline or a different career path, right? But you're at work and you're so fearful about people not liking you or losing employment that you change as a character, and that change as a character gets you rooted more in the career you shouldn't be in anyways. Where if you were just true to yourself and realized you had to play a complete role to keep a job, and you were like, I guess this isn't going to fucking work out. I'm going to go here, and I don't even know where the fuck here is, but it damn sure ain't here anymore. That's where you needed to go. But if you're lying and becoming a new person in different areas of your life, you're spilling falsehood into your own life and every relationship. Therefore, the things that you do, the areas in your life are built on sand. You ain't building shit on sand, right? Only the house upon the rock, man. And, sand it's shifty, man. It moves around. It has its own life. It has its own way. Stone is the same from the cornerstone all the way through to each edge. It needs to be in complete unison. When you're pouring a foundation, the level has to be at the same corner as the other corner. It has to be the same in the center and follow the whole diameter. You can't build on an uneven, perilous surface. It's not going to work. If you are living in falsehood, you will not be able to build any type of structure in life that's going to benefit you or anyone you love in the future, because it's weak, it's feeble, it's supposed to crumble. Like, think about like relapse, right? When kids are like so beat up that they relapse, I can't believe it happened. I can't believe it happened, which happened to me after 4 years, right? Gnarly relapse. And it was very, 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 very painful. However, it needed to happen because the foundation that I had built had fault lines, it had cracks, it was weak, it was crumbling. I was holding on to it. I didn't want destruction to come. Sometimes the love of God is in the destruction only. Not that he chooses it, but allows that it needs to happen. No matter what type destruction you may be bringing into your life, it has a purpose, and God can pull goodness out of it. It's hard to accept the fact that destruction often needs to happen in order for our life to get kicked up another rung on the ladder. But I believe it is a necessary part of life. If chaos comes, it needed to be seen. If destruction happens, it's there for a purpose. The trajectory in which I was going in my life was not going to contribute to the life that needed to be built, even though I thought it needed to. Now we look at like 8 years later, and I'm like, that's the best thing that ever happened to me, was going back out after 4 years. Now, that doesn't mean I'm happy and content with the harm that I've brought other people. I just know that there's a rhythm of purpose in the destruction. There's a rhythm of purpose in everything I do. I'm either leveraging life at the right moment and creating positivity, or breathing life into manifest form, or I'm disregarding, not paying attention, lazy with my attitude and mental faculty, and life is going to fall into the negative because of my blatant disregard for my part in the creation of my life. So, a lot of us don't want that responsibility, and that is evident when we lie. Well, what does that mean? How does that make any sense? I do not want to take responsibility for my actions, therefore I lie, right? And if I don't lie, that means if I was truly seen, I'm going to lose something. So it is utter selfishness and fear. I'm going to lie, right? I'm going to lie because I want to keep this or this thing or this person around for my benefit, even though I'm completely disrespecting her or disrespecting the relationship, disrespecting the job. I have contempt for the whole thing based on my actions, but I'm going to lie because I want them there to just serve me. And then also, I'm going to hold this lie and still act this way, whatever that way may be, right? So I'm splitting myself in two. Now I'm two different people, extending himself in falsehood these different ways. I want to act shady and shifty, and then I want to act all pretty and courageous and together here, and I want the benefits of only this one. This is me saying, I'm going to wild out, but you know what? The actions that come from that, the consequences, the cause and effect of that, nah, I'm not a part of that. Now, whether you think you're getting away with that or not is irrelevant, because you're not. Now it's in you and it's eating your fucking lunch. And you will inevitably fail. It can't be any other way. It's like whatever you sow, that's what you're gonna reap. And just because they don't see the lie doesn't mean it's not affecting them. Because this now we're working on energy and vibration. You can't step into the fullness of you if there is lies raging on inside of you. That lie has energy, and energy has affect, especially on other people, right? Um, so, at any rate, man, are you the same person in every area of your life? When you put on the parent hat and the friend hat and the work hat and the marriage or the relationship hat, do we see the same person in every area of your life? Or are you a shapeshifter wearing masks for each different responsibility you got to show up to? If a camera crew followed you around, would everyone stand back and be like, damn, dude, he's full of shit, huh? Damn, he's working the whole system. Oh my God, it'd be like a fucking, you'd be perfect for a reality show if that's you. Call MTV up, man. They got a fucking role for you right now, right? Because that's the shit we like. It's interesting how, and that's probably like the lower nature of us that really likes that shit. That's why we watch the garbage, MTV, and all this bullshit just to see. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe he or her is doing that, right? And I still like that shit. It's whatever. If it's on, I'll watch it. I don't care, dude. Like, I'm not, no shame, you know? Um, but here's the thing, right? People are attracted to that negative bullshit. Like, for instance, to date, the number one listened to episode is titled Dax Day 7, which I did an episode on Dax Shepard, who is, he's an actor, very famous actor. He runs this podcast called Armchair Experts. Is it Dax Shepard? That's his last name, right? Shepard? Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm just, whatever. I was like, I don't think it is. Anyways, he had like several years sober or whatever, and he named his episode Day 7. And he got honest about like he had, eaten pills or whatever with his dad or something like that and got high. So he got honest about it. And people were just like, the comments in this shit was just like unreal. How people always have some shit to say about the negative shit, but they probably don't know about any other beautiful episode he recorded. You know what I mean? They just only hop in for the bullshit. And I just thought that was really funny, dude. Still, the number one listened to episode is on the tragedy of another person. When really it's not a tragedy. It's probably the best thing that could have happened to him. Same thing with me. But even the person who's listening right now and they're like, nah, not me. You too. You too, bro. Like, it's just human nature and it's okay. The more you try to resist that shit, the more it will take control over you. If you're running from it, you're giving it all the power. If you don't recognize that there is evil within you and learn how to look that shit in the face, get it a cup of tea and say, what do we got going on here? Learn how to rise above that shit like a balloon defies gravity and rises above. You can do the same thing with your lower nature. You step into the fullness of that evil, see what you are capable of, and then turn towards good. You lean into the light. You lean into God. You turn yourself over to this spiritual practice. Why? Because the world needs the same man and the same woman in every area of your life. And that's who you want to be too. You don't want to be the one that's completely full of shit, right? Like, you got to have a little bit of fun. You can be full of shit. I still have bullshit like that rolls around within me. I did the stupidest thing last week, but I don't want to say it because I'll get in trouble. But just dumb shit. You just like you're walking around as a human and you're absent-minded and just not thinking about stuff, and just some lower nature shit will just grab me. It'll just grab me. Um, I called Tommy, one of my best friends, the author, Hell or High Dollar, right here. Which, if you haven't read that book, you need to go check it out. It's called Hell or High Dollar, written by Thomas Ramsberg. You can go on Amazon and get it right here. Hell or High Dollar, banger of a book. Anyways, I go to him with a lot of stuff, right? And basically, I called him yesterday, and he's just like, dude, this is like this little kid, this character, this version of you who is kicking and screaming because life has shifted a lot for me, and there's versions or characteristics that are no longer going to be useful in this next season. So I have to look that shit in the face, understand that it doesn't want to die because it's ego, and be intentful in my approach as I move forward, and constantly set myself up to get G checked by my friends, right? Call them and be like, yo, this is what I'm thinking. This is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I did. Da, 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 da. And them to look at my ears and being like, yo, this is exactly what's happening. And me to be like, holy shit, that's so right. But if I'm not willing to put myself on the chopping block, that character is going to do what that character always did. And if you want to change your fucking character, if you want to be a new person, then the character's got to get chopped up a little bit. You got to turn them over to the chopping block. You got to let people see your ears. You got to tell people about the things that you're doing when no one's looking. Because that's the person that's inevitably running the show. You'll be surprised how hard it is for people just to raise their hand and say, I'm not fucking doing good. I'm not doing good, man. I need some help, I'm sad. I feel like I'm alone in my life. Maybe your relationship's really struggling, or you're thinking about doing some dumb shit, or you're not happy in your employment, whatever. Or you miss her, miss him, and it's really fucking you up, or you just need to be around someone else. Very, very few people do that type of stuff. And it's so pertinent. And especially men, man, I'm talking to you. We got to learn how to have an open book policy with another man in our life, and learn how to like become friends with other grown men. I know it sounds silly, but even yesterday, I texted this gentleman who I started working with not too long ago, and he's just a good dude. He's a friend. And I texted him with some intent though, and I was like, hey man, like, you're the type of caliber of man that I want in my life. I want to hang out more, and I want to lean on you when I have doubt, when I want to give up on myself, when I forget about who I am, or I want to slack on shit and put shit on. I was basically like, hey, I want you in my life. I appreciate who you are as a man, and I would like some of your energy and your direction, I fucking shocked myself. I basically said, will you be my friend? You know what I'm saying? Like 36 years old. I was like, will you be my friend? So fucking stupid. But you know what I mean? This is what, if you want an uncommon life, do uncommon shit. That's uncommon, man. Sorry, but that is uncommon, but that's who I want to be. That's the type of energy I want in my life. And I'm not willing to settle. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not willing to settle. And I'm willing most of the time to enter the forest at the darkest point. Joseph Campbell has this quote, and he says, enter the forest at the darkest point where there is no path. Because if there's a path, you're on somebody else's. Back in the medieval times, in the times of King Arthur, the valiant knight would go looking for the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is the cup that Christ drank from in the Last Supper. And so knights would go out on this, this venture, this quest to go get the Holy Grail and bring it back to their kingdom. And the knights at the round table, the king would always instruct, enter the forest at the darkest point where there is no path. And it's like, well, why? Because all the knights that have gone before, they didn't come back. They died. So if you want to ensure death of character, death of spirit, putting on a cloak, putting on a disguise, being a shapeshifter, taking somebody else's form, then follow along the path. But if you want to recreate your life and do some uncommon shit, you better learn how to get uncomfortable really fucking quick, right? Somebody was texting me earlier today, and they were like, one of my buddies, they were like, it's scary to reach out to therapists. I know it is, man. And that's okay. What's important is that you do it anyways, because the fact that there is resistance there, my belief, it's evidence that that's where you need to go. Because there is evil nature or resistance or ego. There is part of us as humans that you call it evil, devil, bad, whatever you want, the disease of alcoholism, whatever the fuck you want to call it, man. There is a power that just wants to shove your ass back. It doesn't want you to grow. It doesn't want you to process. It doesn't want you lively and vitalized and vitalizing others naturally. It doesn't want that. It wants to shove your ass back and bury you. That's what it wants, and most of the time it gets just that. So, the more that there is resistance in something, that is the proof that there is task there for you, man. There is a call to adventure there. If you come up to the edge of the forest and they were like, I know they told me to go to the darkest point, but this is dark as a motherfucker. I don't want, there's a light over here. I could just go this way. I don't want to go this way. If there's some resistance there, that's evidence that there is something there for you. And life lives on the edge of death. What does that mean? Life lives on the edge of death. Right at the edge of that darkest point, if you walk through that so scared, so uncomfortable, and you do it anyways, there is death that takes place and you are reborn. You have shed a layer of yourself. There is ego that has been chipped away. There is a lie or limiting beliefs that has been chipped away that said, hey, you can't do this. You can't do this. Don't even consider that you can. Hey, don't forget that you're scared. Don't forget that you can't talk to anybody. Don't forget that he doesn't want to be your friend. You can't get a raise. You can't do this. You can't you can't drop what you did in college and start a completely new venture in photography and videography. You can't do that. I don't know. I guess we'll never know, motherfucker. It's like whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Which one are you going to listen to? Like I'll pick on Christian a little bit because we went to go see, he's a big Griselda fan, Benny the Butcher, Westside Gun, Conway, all these guys. So we went, Benny the Butcher did his first live show in Fort Lauderdale a few weeks ago. So I didn't even know you were going, right? We just ran into each other.
Yeah, we just ran in.
Yeah, we just ran into each other. He was
Right
there
line.
with Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're listening to the show, and he's like, "Yo, I reached out to Benny's manager. I was asking them because he's doing the photography, videography, and all this stuff, right? And he's putting in work. And he's good. So we reached out to the dude's Benny the Butcher's manager and asked if he could come shoot and all that. And basically, they kind of shoot him. They were like, "Nah, we can't do it because of money or this and that, or people don't usually give him the pick." So they're just like, "We're steering away from people. Like, we got to vet, make sure we know who they are, right?" So he was like, "All right." So we're there, right? And we're there at the show. He's like, "Damn, I wish I was up there taking pictures and stuff." Cause we're watching all these other photographers right there on stage taking pics and stuff. And it looks like a dope ass job, right? So dude's like, "Didn't you hit up his manager while at the show?"
It was right after the show. I just hit him up again and said, like, I'm gonna keep working. Next time you guys are in town, let me know.
Yeah.
And he said, come up.
Yeah, come up to Orlando. Yeah. So he was like, "I'm going to keep going. Let me know. Like, I'm still here. Even though I got the no, I'm still here." And he's like, "Well, shit, come up tomorrow for Orlando." And he was like, "Bet, I'm there." So, like, whether he listened to the "never mind, you can't do it," and then he just took an L and sat on it, he kept going. He's like, "No, I want this. This is unknown. There was some type of passion within me. Let me just keep pushing." So he went up to Orlando, kicking it with all those dudes, just around heavy weed smoke, taking pictures, and the Butcher put your stuff on his page, right?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That fucking easy. So it's like, dare to do something different. Dare to be scared and do it anyways. Whatever makes you shake, go there. See what it has for you. The shit that you don't want to talk about the most, talk about it. The grief that you don't want to look at, talk about it, man. The people that you're scared to ask to kick it with, go kick it with them, man. Because some of the greatest people I've ever met always want to share their greatness with other people. It's never a closed door type shit. All good men, good women that I've met, vitalized people, they're all always down to share, open their arms, open their doors, and share the greatness that they've been experiencing in their lives. Those are the people that don't have anything to hide. So they're not worried about the no new friends shit. You know what I mean? Like, they're always willing to take people in, share, all inclusive type thing. And so, yeah, man, like, you go where there's no path, and it's not an easy thing. But if there's a lot of resistance around it, there's something there for you. There was 1,000, Stephen Pressfield talks about this in his book called The War of Art. He says, like, resistance is this energy, and it's always going to try and shove your ass back for whatever reason. But you got to be willing to acknowledge that it's there and take a step forward no matter what. And it's not easy to do. I'm definitely not perfect at it. I don't always want to do this shit. I'm not always excited to do it. I am prone to self-doubt and limiting beliefs. I have to constantly work on that and make it a point to act in opposition to my mind. Because I know that when I'm completely identified with my mind and those limiting beliefs, I'm going to take action under the veil of those limiting beliefs, and I'm going to experience a result that I'm not a fan of. And if I'm not a fan of that result, I guess I better stop fucking listening to the bullshit beliefs. Now, I don't always have the power to sift through the limiting beliefs and go, nah, that's going to lead to some bullshit. Let me do the next right hard thing. I don't always have the power to do that. Sometimes I got to call a homie and be like, dude, this is what I'm thinking. Have him remind me who the fuck I am and what I'm about, you know? And this is what friends do. They restore one another gently to the truth of who they are. If they're caught up in bullshit, they're caught up in sin or negativity, they restore them gently. They try to bring them out of that bullshit, the darkness, and restore them to where they thrive or they excel, you know? So that's it, man. You know, episode 127. Be the same man. Be the same person in every area of your life. Don't lie, man. You know, it's the details. It's the details. It's the little lies that build up into some bullshit, and it'll ruin the square footage in your home, in your own damn home. This stuff is eating your lunch. If there's lies brewing on inside of you, it's eating your lunch, and it's robbing you of life force to build a good life. That's it, man. Make sure you check out the blog. The blog is called Collateral Beauty by Scott Russell. It's on Substack. You can look at that. Also doing life coaching, spiritual coaching. If you're looking to work one-on-one, you can email us at fromthegravepodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram. We'll respond. And yeah, man, be sure to check it out. If you want to contribute in any way to the podcast, you got a topic you want talked about or a question that you want to submit, a voice memo, email it in. We'll play it live when we're recording and respond to it. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think, where you want it to go, what you want it to look like. I appreciate your love and support. It means the world. So thank you. Peace.